Hello again, welcome to Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast, or no, should I say the Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast? I always get a bit mixed up. Hope you're all good. Thank you for listening again, as always. Hope you enjoyed the last episode. This one, again, it will be quite a short one, you'll be pleased to hear. And it comes off a question which was asked after I recorded the last podcast, which was a Q&A. And it was a good question, and also it's too long. I think the answer would have been too long to answer in a single episode, so I thought I'd just record a new episode for that specific question. Yeah, and essentially it's all about realistic expectations when it comes to achieving a goal. Either it's, fat loss or muscle building. Expectations. What expectations do you have? A lot of people have very high expectations when it comes to achieving fat loss or achieving muscle growth or achieving a physique of some sort, and also that can be a negative when it comes to trying to achieve it, because, and this is that can be down to a number of factors, but I don't think people realise or understand how difficult it is to successfully lose body fat. And I don't know how, and it's even harder to build muscle. So people's expectations are too high, I think, before they start. So when they begin this journey, this fat loss or muscle building journey, and the results aren't as quick as they expected, they think, oh, this is hard. This is hard work. Well, this is taking fucking ages. Excuse my language. This has taken ages. So I'm going to give up. I think people need to realise and understand that before they go into this journey, before they start a journey like this, it's not easy, and it does take a lot longer than you think. And also, I'm sorry to say this does sound quite harsh, but a lot of guys, a lot of people in general, men and women, but a lot of guys have a lot more body fat than they think. And it happens all the time. So, I think a lot of guys don't realise they have not only body fat underneath the skin, but around the organs as well, which is still part of fat loss. And that's the body fat which tends to go first. So guys have a lot more, and women, some women have a lot more body fat than they think. So when, after they've lost a few kilos, which is amazing, they're shocked that they're not completely ripped, or they're not in this shape that they expected after a few months of hard work. The question was, how long would it take to complete a fat loss phase, and how long will it take to get through a muscle building phase, or how long do I need? I think that's the question. And honestly, the answer is so... I can't answer it, basically, but I'm going to explain why I can't answer it, because it depends on so many different factors. The answer, it depends, is an answer I use a lot within this industry when I get asked a question, because a lot of it does come down to it depends on so many different factors. So if we start with fat loss, how long will it take to achieve a fat loss phase? Now, a fat loss phase is simply taking someone from their start position to a position where they're happy with the amount of body fat they've lost, right? So, and this all comes, that's the first thing. It depends on, you tell me when you'll be happy with stopping the fat loss phase. How lean do you want to get? How much body fat do you want to lose? How much body fat have you got to lose? What is your start position? That's the first thing we need to think about. So these fat loss phases can go from 4 weeks all the way up until 6 months. It depends on the person entirely. So the start point, I think I've said that already. Where you want to get to, what your time frame is, how big of a deficit can you sustain, what's your lifestyle like, what's your work like, what are your stress levels, how stressed are you, how is your sleep, do you have a family, are you on your own, How easy is it for you to cook your own meals? What's your social life like? How active are you outside the gym? What can you do in the gym? What are your limitations? There's so many things. What's the purpose for you to get lean, or why do you want to get lean? Is it for a wedding? Is it for a specific time? Is it for a sports event? What's the reason? So the question I would sort of provide back is, well, you tell me, first of all, how much body fat do you want to lose? What is your ideal outcome? And how long do you want for it to take? If you come back and tell me, I want to see visible abs by the time my holiday is here, that's in 2 months. So you've got 8 weeks. So that would then entirely depend on how much body fat you have got to lose before you see visible abs. If you're someone who is holding a lot of body fat, then the deficit would have to be quite aggressive. It would have to be quite an aggressive diet, a big deficit. Okay, so yeah, of course, I could give you an aggressive diet and a big deficit to start you off and get you quick results. But are you going to sustain it? How are you going to handle it? Is it going to cause even more stress? Are you going to potentially binge? Are you going to absolutely hate it? If you're going to hate it, you're not going to sustain it. If you're not going to sustain it, you're not going to lose body fat. Okay, so I always say the smaller the deficit, the better, because it's more sustainable. And if it's more sustainable, you're more likely to achieve the results you want. The smaller the deficit, I think, the better. But then again, this will lead to slower results, meaning it could demotivate a lot of people. So these are the different things I always need to think about. Yes, the client wants results. Obviously, that's why they come to me. But also, it's up to me to, yes, give them the results they want, but to keep them on the right track, keep them motivated, and do it safely and effectively without causing a poor relationship with food to occur. All that kind of stuff. The sort of majorly important things. Yes, we need to get results, but we need to make sure that they are sustainable and they're safe and effective, and it's long term. Okay, I'm not one of these coaches who just gets results as quick as possible and then says see you later, because then this person will have no idea about reverse dieting, have no idea about adaptive thermogenesis, and will go back to old eating habits and put all the weight on again, and even more so. I guess I'm going off track a little bit, but the definitive answer is it depends, but the results can be as quick as 4 weeks if that person is already fairly lean, just wants to get even leaner. So that fat loss phase can be as little as 4 weeks, because you can lose a pound a week, 4 pounds of body fat roughly. That can lead to a fairly lean physique if that individual is already fairly lean. If someone comes to me who is fairly overweight, is holding a lot of body fat, then it will take a lot longer. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. Again, depends on how aggressive they want to take it. Depends how well they can handle the deficit. If they can't handle it and they're struggling with it, then I'd have to reduce the size of the deficit, but the results will take longer. This is the thing you need to think about. A bigger deficit leads to quicker results, but it's potentially less sustainable. A smaller deficit will lead to slower results, but it's more sustainable, so it's better in the long run. This is all about achieving results long term, and once you achieve the results, you keep them, right? We don't want to go back to how you were before. It's pointless. Okay, and there are coaches out there who do this. They try and get the quickest results possible, get before and after picture, and then say see you later without even coaching them about reverse dieting or diet breaks or all that kind of stuff. So the fat loss phase, yeah, it can be as long as 12 months. It can be as short as 4 weeks. It depends on the individual. This is why online coaching is so bespoke and so individualized and so customized, because it depends on that individual. It's not black and white. It's very much focused on that person, their preferences, their lifestyle, what they want to achieve, why they want to achieve it, what's their start point, what's their past experiences, How's your relationship with food? What food do you like, not do you dislike? What are your energy levels like? What's your job? What's your job role? How active are you? Do you play sports? So many things we need to think about. And that's just fat loss. So essentially what I'm saying is, in summary to the fat loss, it takes longer than you think, because it's a long slow process. Two, you probably have more body fat than you think. So give yourself longer the time than you are currently giving yourself. If you think, right, I'm going to, get shredded in 8 weeks, give yourself 16 weeks. Trust me, it takes a lot longer than you think. So that's just fat loss. Muscle building, muscle growth is even longer. I had a client with me who put on 10 kilos in a year. Yes, not all of that was muscle, but a lot of it was muscle. But he was consistent every single day, every week he checked in. He was training his ass off every single week. He stuck to his macros, he's got his protein in, he was, focusing on stress and sleep and all sorts. He did everything right. Okay, this guy was 50. He put on a lot of muscle in a year. So it takes a lot longer than fat loss. You need to give yourself a year, 2 years, 3 years to put on a significant amount of, muscle tissue. And that's consistently training in the gym. That's keeping your protein up. That's making sure you're focusing on sleep, getting enough water, you're recovering well, you're taking deload weeks when you need them, and you're training, properly in the gym as well. Give yourself literally a year, 2 years to build a good amount of muscle tissue, and around, I'd say, 12, 16 weeks for a fat loss phase. But again, they're just sort of average, they're rough numbers. So I'd say to summarize, a year for muscle growth. Again, it all depends on where you are to start off with. You already may have a fair amount of muscle on you. Usually guys who are holding a lot of body fat also have a lot of muscle tissue because, they are carrying a lot of weight. So they build more muscle than the guys who don't have much don't have much fat tissue on them. So it depends on your start point. How much muscle do you have? How much muscle do you want? Where do you want to get to? I guarantee with muscle growth, you will never be satisfied with how much you have. You may do, and if you are, you're lucky. I've been trying to build muscle now for years and years and years, and I'm not big at all. So that's why when it comes to muscle growth, you just need to keep going. And you can always drop in and out of these fat loss phases every time you want to get a bit leaner for a holiday or for a wedding or whatever. Or you can just maintain. You can, try and build muscle for 6 months, back to maintenance. Build for 6 months, back to maintenance. There's no right or wrong. It's all down to you as an individual. So, in summary, for fat loss, I'd say between 8 and 16 weeks for a fat loss phase, and muscle growth between 6 months to 2 years. I know it's a massive difference there, but again, it massively depends. Things to take into account: you could get ill, you could be ill for a couple of weeks, which could throw you off track. These things need to be taken into account. You could injure yourself, you could hurt your leg, you could break your leg, you could, so many things we need to take into account. This is why it kind of annoys me when it comes to unrealistic expectations with personal trainers or coaches who are on steroids, who are blatantly on steroids. When, by the way, I'm not against guys who take steroids to gain muscle easier and to get bigger. But what I don't agree with is them denying it. And it's blatantly obvious that they are on steroids, but they tell their clients, they tell people who follow them that they're not taking steroids. So what this does, it gives off a massively unrealistic expectation to potential clients and guys who want to get bigger and build muscle, because they look at these coaches on steroids and think, if he's not on steroids, then I can look like that as well, because I don't want to take steroids. And these coaches are they're adamant they're not taking anything. It's just so obvious they are. If they were more truthful, then fair enough, because it'd be like, right, you want to build muscle, I'll tell you now, I'm taking performance enhancing drugs to get myself looking like this. Yes, it's a lot easier to build muscle when you're taking steroids. If you don't want to take them, your results or your progress will be a lot slower. But instead, you got these guys signing up to these coaches who are on steroids, thinking and expecting to get the same results as quickly, within 4, 6, 8 months, when really it takes years and years. It's constant training, constant focus on diet, sleep, water, all the basics I go on about. That's what I don't agree with, these unrealistic expectations which are given out from PTs, coaches who are taking these performance enhancing drugs to assist them, essentially, to help them look bigger, quicker, to give them a helping hand, I suppose, and using it as an advantage to get more clients. When really, if you think about it, if someone signs up expecting to get the same results and they don't, they're going to be massively pissed off and disappointed and think, well, I'm a failure. I can't get as big as this guy. I'm hardly building muscle. I'm just going to give up. I'm a failure. I'm going to stop. And then for the rest, for years on end, they're going to feel like absolute shit. So it's better off people being honest with what they're taking, which will help with the expectations of these guys who want to also put on muscle. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps in terms of setting expectations and realistic and unrealistic expectations when it comes to fat loss and muscle growth. Next week I'll be talking about 7 things I wish I knew when I started the gym all those years ago. I've got a list of things I wish I'd known when I first started, and I'll go through all of them and I'll explain each one in detail, and hopefully that will help some of you guys listening who are either new to the gym or fairly new to the gym, or still a bit unsure about what to do and what not to do. As always, thank you for listening. If you can, leave a review. I'd really appreciate it. Tell your mates, your family, work colleagues, share on your social media. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, if you have any questions at any point, please let me know and I'll answer them on the next episode or during another episode. As always, if you're ever interested in coaching, if you want to find out more about how I can help you lose body fat, build muscle, get stronger, help you achieve the goals you want to achieve, send me a message on Instagram and I will get back to you, and we'll get a phone call booked in and talk about your goals and how I can help you achieve them. Cheers guys, take care, and I'll speak to you very soon.